Florida State has landed Byron Lewis.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles for a recruiting edition, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk Seminoles football with me. This is going to be a short episode because last night around midnight, Byron Lewis decided to pick the Noles. That was after the game against Cal, which Florida State obviously won 14-9. Now, this is a young man I've known since the spring of his freshman year, and it's a player I've seen play numerous times and the kind of kid that's been recruited forever. This is the elite kind of running back talent that you want to get. South Florida kid, played at American Heritage, well, still does. And he's a guy that had the offers from like Georgia, Miami, etc. He's a very coveted football player. Decides to go to Florida State. So I'm going to give my take on him, why it's important not only from a just pure talents perspective, but getting another guy from American Heritage, getting another guy from South Florida, and kind of upping the recruiting class after a couple of guys decided to take off and go elsewhere. That's not good. So Florida State is back on the mark in a good way. So with Lewis, around 6 foot, give or take 200 to 210, he kind of fluctuates. Whenever I message with him or see him at an event, he'll give me an update, but it's always in that range. Slasher first, will make the first guy miss most times. Very, very good in one-on-one tackling situations, whether it's in the box, outside zone, catching a swing pass, or running a route. He is very versatile, despite his size of being, to be honest, NFL size. Most running backs in the NFL are 200, 220 in that range. Byron's already there. Now, is he a pure burner? No, I wouldn't say he's a 10-4 guy or anything, but he's pretty fast. He's a guy that can make the home run. He can get to the outside and make plays. Similar a little bit, I would say, to Rodell, but probably better laterally. That's how I would define him. As for his best attribute, it's debatable. I went through this before I came on the show. Probably say vision, but it's not a lock to say that. His ability to make the first guy miss when it's an obvious tackling situation is still paramount. As a running back, punt returner, slot receiver, any of those spots where you're going to have a guy on you quickly, can you still win the battle? Byron can, and he does it pretty often. So that's a great trait. And then finally, power. After contact, he's going to fall forward the vast majority of the time. Is he a guy that'll play early? Probably. I would say so, because of his ability to be stronger at this age than most running backs and his ability to play at American Heritage throughout his high school career. I think that'll carry over to Florida State pretty quickly. He's used to going against top competition. He's played Milton from Georgia. He's played against Chaminade Madonna. He's played against Miami Central. He's played against a lot of really great football teams. And it's no big deal to him. He's just used to it. This is what they do. So being at that level of competition week in and week out, it's pretty much why teams recruit South Florida. These kids are hardened. They are battle tested. They are mentally prepared to go to college more so than others. There's no way to be completely prepared, but South Florida does a pretty darn good job of it. As for what he needs to work on the most, same thing that most running backs need to work on. Pass protection. There is not a single guy in the high school ranks, I don't care what year it is, that is remotely ready for pass protection at the college level, because you can't take on college D linemen while you're in high school, rep after rep after rep after rep. And that's what you got to do. And those outside linebackers aren't a whole lot more friendly either. So that's something he's going to have to work on. But again, he's still going against South Florida kids. The speed, the quickness, the size is pretty darn good. That'll help. And I also think he'll be able to help in the slot. Most running backs in today's game can catch the ball, so that's nice, but how many are 200 pounds? Not many. He's got, again, natural NFL size for a running back already, so Byron should be able to attribute his talents in multiple ways. So if Florida State goes two backs, he might motion in at the slot. If Florida State just comes out and goes 5 wide, but with 2 running backs, they could do that because they got enough versatile players. This complements your offense in many different ways. This will also allow Byron to see the field early. He's got to learn the playbook, and he's got to learn how to pass block. Everything else, from seeing him at Under Armour camps, seeing him at games, seeing him at practice, etc., this is a kid that can play and play early at Florida State. So last point before I get out of here, I want to talk about the class as a whole. I mentioned a minute ago, Florida State is in a bit of a tailwind with recruiting with getting him, but they also took on a headwind by losing a couple of kids. Let's see if the victory over Cal, getting Byron Lewis to commit to the Noles, is something that can springboard them forward again. They're not having the greatest class right now. This is not where Florida State should be. Just honest. It's not. Just using one of the platforms, it really doesn't matter which one. 24/7 right now, just for the particulars, 12 commits. Overall, they're ranked 30th. There's all kinds of different rankings because the metrics are different for every service. But at this point, Florida State, A, should have more commits, and B, have more high-end guys, and they shouldn't have lost 2 top players. So maybe Byron turns that back around. Maybe Florida State goes and beats SMU next week and gets it going even more. But again, they did get a really good football player in him. He's a good guy. He's fun to be around. People that I know in the media all like him. So I think he'll fit in very well in Tallahassee. One other thing, there will be another podcast later today. I already had the 2 shows cut up from last night's live show. You can check those out on Locked On Seminoles. There's lots of stuff going on with Florida State football on and off the gridiron. Going to have topics that are very, very pertinent right now. Got to talk about it again. Quarterback play is a humongous concern. Obviously, DJ did not have a good game last night. The terrible turnover. They didn't play Brock. They didn't play Luke. A lot of things about that, but the defense records 7 sacks. So there's some things to talk about that are positive, but getting Byron again is the biggest thing. Everybody have a good one, and I will see you again very soon.